certainly we tend to focus on Netflix, as has Mr. Malone for years now, by the way, in terms of originally his belief that the cable company should have gotten together to try and combat it, and his admission that, well, its place is fairly cemented when it comes to being the #1 player. I did ask him, does he believe that that will continue?
They've got a massive lead, and in that space, it's difficult to imagine that anybody can displace them.
Is there any chance that Netflix hits a wall at some point?
So far, it's an equity play that is based upon growth, valuation of growth, and the general belief that there'll be a point at which they can take their foot a little bit off the throttle, right? Their stock really took off, David, when they could demonstrate pricing power. Mm-hmm. So when they raised their prices and didn't lose any material subscribers, I think the financial market said, aha, glue, right? So if you have glue and you have growth and pricing power, right, now the question is how to manage that. So unless Reed, which he won't, does something really nuts, I think it's a question of modulating their spend and coasting in to maturity, at which point they should be enormously cash generative, okay? And the only thing I can see that interrupts that is some #2 comes in and starts a price war. But I don't see why #2 would start a price war, right? Yeah. I think Netflix right now provides a pricing umbrella, and as long as the competitors come at it either under that price umbrella or like Amazon is doing, where it's a whole different bundle, right? I think there's clearly room for 2 or 3 global providers in this space coming at it from slightly different perspectives. So, I think Netflix will be very successful, in my opinion. And I think Amazon obviously is going to be very successful. And the question is, who's going to be #3?
Well, I think you've answered it to a certain extent. And you expect it to be Disney.
I expect it to be Disney.
One question that I also put to Malone is his future. In the last year, he stepped down from the boards of Charter and Lionsgate, raising at least some questions as to whether he was pulling back to a certain extent. Here is what he had to say.
First of all, my wife has a health condition that makes it much more difficult for me to travel for business. So the travel obligations of being on boards that aren't where I am, is a challenge for us. We're coming up on 60 years of marriage, so she's very, very important to me, and that's #1. And then I have ISS and those types of people saying I'm on way too many boards to begin with, and they're recommending don't vote for John. He's on 13 boards or something. And so I'm still on 9 boards.
Yeah, that's plenty.
The guys who are on the boards representing our collective interests are terrific people. So I don't think we lose a beat. On Charter, for instance, they've invited me to be an emeritus. So, I call in. I listen to the board meeting. I do it. I read the board material. I call in. I'm an insider anyway because of my ownership. So I get lots of connectivity.
But for those who would view it in a larger context of, well, John Malone's pulling back, or he's starting to think about what he wants to do with his empire.
No, but I would say, David, as you get older, you have other interests, right? And so you want to spread your time. I have a lot of philanthropy interests. I have a forestry business. I have a hotel business in Ireland. I have a big thoroughbred racehorse business. These all are personal interest things.